Welcome back to the Power to Win podcast, episode 3. The backup power industry is changing faster than most people realize, not just in technology, but in how we think about infrastructure, leadership, and what it really takes to keep critical systems running. Today's conversation is a little different. This is a discussion about why PowerChampions is founded and how we're working to change the backup power industries across the U.S. and beyond. I'm joined today by Ashish Achlerkar, our founder and CEO, and Erik Duthie, who leads our U.S. operations, both co-hosts of the podcast. And we also have a guest who brings a broader strategic lens to what we're building, Shana Duthie. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having us.
All right, first question for everybody. What's changing in the industry right now that most people aren't paying attention to? Ashish, we'll start with you.
I'll go first. And, first of all, Kyle, I applaud you for hosting this podcast, right? And, really, we are co-hosts, but it was your idea. It was your brainchild that we should have this podcast. And podcasts like this serve as a forum for thought leadership in the trades, right? That's how I would kind of characterize what we're trying to do here. The main motivation for this podcast is to bring back the dignity to our trades, right? And skilled trades are not just a business, they are a nation building endeavor. And whether you look at things like HVAC and plumbing or taking care of the critical power services needs, they're fundamental to nation building. They're fundamental to national security. They're fundamental to keeping our hospitals and schools and data centers running. Wars are not being played using AI, right? So at the end of the day, when you ask the question, what is changing in the industry and what people are not paying attention to? Well, historically, this industry was called, this type of work that, critical power services companies do was called mission critical. I would just multiply mission critical by 1,000. It has become a lot more mission critical for the society across the world, right? And as a result of that, the infrastructure in the industry, the preparedness really to address the mission criticality, the rising mission criticality hasn't caught up. And what I mean by that is how you deploy technology in this specific trade, how you focus attention on creating new talent base, new workforce that could work in this industry because first of all, we have a shrinking labor force. On top of it, the labor force that we have right now has to be upgraded in terms of the training that they have, the knowledge they have relative to addressing the needs of the future. So we are staring at an opportunity and a challenge both. And I think a lot of what we try to do at Power Champions and why Power Champions was formed has to do with that huge opportunity that we see in front of us. But I really would love, I have been in the trades now for several years, but Erik and Shana have been in the backup power space specifically, just like you have been, Kyle, for decades. So I really want to ask Erik, from your lens, Erik, as an operations leader, what is changing on the ground from your perspective?
Well, it sure doesn't feel like decades, I'll tell you that much now. Mostly it's the technology that we're adding to help with the tools for the guys. Before it was all paper and pen and, dragging knuckles, but now they're using computers a lot more technology to help them with their day-to-day, especially for tracking jobs and everything else. And you need a lot more technology just to access the equipment.
So let me ask you a follow-up question on that, if I may. When you say technology to access the equipment, are we talking about specific gadgets that you need to sort of fix the machines? Are you talking about remote monitoring? Like what are you specifically talking about?
All of it actually. Sometimes for the proprietary software, sometimes they have a special dongle you need to hook your computer up to the control panel. Plus with the technology in the sense of monitoring, you can monitor the equipment remotely. And so that, let's say you get a code that an alert that your generator's down, we can roll a tech. Just say, okay, power failure, generator didn't start, run a tech. So remote monitoring is the way of the future. Some way to assess the health of your equipment without actually being physically on site.
So Shana, what do you think, Shana? What has changed?
Um, what's changed in the industry is I think the people it attracts. So I think, we all talk about one of the biggest challenges in any of the trades today is attracting skilled tradespeople. A lot of people are retiring, so we definitely have the issue of not having enough people to do the work, right? Technology can take the place of office workers to a point, and I think we're seeing AI start to do that in workflow processes. But AI today cannot take the work of a skilled technician. AI can help a skilled technician maybe assess a problem quicker in the field. Um, but technology cannot definitely solve everything in our space. Um, it's interesting though, I was watching a video yesterday of they're starting to use robots in Japan. Uh, on the field to load airplanes. So, interesting. Robots, we're gonna see more robotics in a lot of spaces, I think, in this country in the years to come. Where they're gonna be, utilized is still seen, but we're seeing a lot of that right now, in other countries, especially on the Pacific Rim.
And touching base on your AI and robotics, I mean, the skills trades is the one industry that is basically AI proof. And we're seeing that, a lot of these degrees where you're going out and getting these office jobs, like you said, those are the first ones that can be replaced. So I think it's important for us to get back to our DNA in the skilled trades and what helped build America, like Ashish was saying. This isn't a slow moving industry anymore. So, and the cost of it getting it wrong is only going up, and it's only going to continue to go up.
That's so well said. I would take your point further, right? Not only is skilled trades AI proof, in my view, skilled trades and what we're trying, what we're doing at PowerChampions, all of us, is going to make AI better, right? Think about these robots that Shanna is talking about. One day, if these robots have to do the work that our technicians do today, they're going to need a lot of data on what a technician actually does, right? And at Power Champions, we are creating a data-driven decision-making process. No matter what we do, is driven by data. And that's going to create the massive database that these robots are going to need to do the work, if it ever gets there, right? So,
No, that's a great point. And when you talk about the data, that's obviously such a hot topic right now. And when you saw the industry, like when you looked at the power gen industry, what made you look at it and say this industry needs a little something different?
no, it's a great question, Kyle, right? And, I remember my first meeting with you, long time back, where we discussed exactly that. And every day that has gone by since we met, my conviction has only gone up about this industry. So let me kind of address that in a couple of ways, right? One is, it depends on how you look at a certain opportunity, right? If you look at it from an investor perspective, you look at a few things, right? If you look at it from the perspective of creating an entrepreneurial legacy, you look at a few other things. Oftentimes, ideally, things that you look at as an investor and entrepreneur should not be mutually exclusive, right? So when I looked at this, putting both my hats on, the first thing that appealed to me as an investor was, wow, this is a mission critical, like I said, mission critical times thousand opportunity, a service that the society is always going to need. It's non discretionary, and from what research we have collectively done, there is a long runway, meaning the number of customers that's going to need these services is only going to keep on going up. And a lot of people are calling there's going to be a tsunami, right, of demand for critical power services, driven by various factors such as our aging grid, uh, you know, the prevalence of digitization in the society, and how much power really data centers are requiring. All of that means that there's going to be more need for backup power, right? So the fundamental attributes of this industry are very attractive to an investor. It is a safe industry to sort of park your capital, if you want to call it that. What was appealing to me even beyond that was the chance to create entrepreneurial legacy. And what I mean by that, Kyle, is, in my numerous conversations with, say, Shanna and Erik, who basically taught me a lot about this industry, there is so many gaps in the value chain. There is gaps relative to how customers experience this service, right? There is a need to bring in more consistency, more transparency, more trust in the relationship with customers, right? And there are so many different ways to do that. We can double click into that here later on in this podcast. There is a need to elevate employee experience. Employees cannot be treated as a cog in the wheel. They are an important part of building the future of this industry. They need to be treated as such. We need to invest in them. We need to invest in their career paths, right? So, in order to address these gaps in the value chain, it requires a lot of patience. It requires the business will to invest, right, in these things from ground up, right? And all of that, if done over a long period of time consistently, can create a huge entrepreneurial legacy. And that's really why I'm here. I'm really here for our team. I'm really here for this industry because we can create that entrepreneurial legacy together. So I think that the decision we made in the early days of evaluating where we spend our time may have been based on some research and data like an investor does. But as I got to learn this industry more through experience, I've been enamored by the legacy opportunity that we have here.
Yeah, and I think you hit a spot on when you talked about the runway. The need is only going to increase for the main three reasons that you said. The aging grid. We're going through a state of electrification where everything is becoming electrified now, from your stoves, your ovens, every single thing they want it to be electric. And then, not to mention, the last point is your data centers. Everybody talks about the power from data centers. Well, people don't realize that only the power from data centers right now is only 6% of the total power that's proposed. So the power hasn't even really hit the grid yet, and it's coming. So it's going to make a huge impact. Erik, what do you think about this topic? What are you seeing on the ground in the field?
Well, you mentioned the aging grid, but you also have the aging workforce of the trades that were in here. You're trying to capture their knowledge. That's where AI can help as far as tapping into that. But having a training academy to bring some of these new folks in to show them that there is a way other than basket weaving in college. They can actually come in, learn a trade, and make more money than basket weaver.
Yep. Now that's a great point, and I think Shannon, you also have seen it from face to face with companies. What are you seeing? Like, why was the market ready for this model? And what gaps did you see between what customers were expecting and what they actually received?
Well, I think what we're seeing, at least with one of the things I love the most about the Power Champions model, is the fact that we're here to help market partners as we find them keep their legacy and be able to keep their business. Not only are technicians aging out, but business owners are aging out. The businesses that the people that started these businesses, they're also old. They're in their 70s and 80s. They're looking for something different. Many of them have already sold their companies to larger companies that have just basically swallowed them and left the shell of the company behind. That's not what most entrepreneurs want. That's not why they started or built a company. Some did, but a lot of them, it was to leave a legacy for their family. So I think one of the things that Power Champions does differently is we keep the nuts and bolts of what's really important about a company and let them be locally led. And we just add the support system to them to give them tools that they actually never had available in the past. And I think that's one of the greatest things and legacies that we'll leave as the Power Champions team is to empower entrepreneurs to continue to do what they do best and that's grow their companies just with a little bit of help.
That's
All of
awesome.
this, yeah.
Yeah, I love that, and I think it's important. Like you said, building the legacy. There's obviously a couple different ways you can scale and try to grow and build your business, and it seems like Ashish, you've chosen, and I know that you've made a point that you want people to be a partner and be in it long term and keep their legacy. So why is that so important to you in the long term growth of a company and when you're bringing a partner on to see them more as a partner than an acquisition?
So many people don't even ask this question, Kyle, right? Which is such an important question to address. If you think about value creation, where does value get created in these businesses? The way the industry is structured today, it's hyper local, right? There's a lot of local players that are closer to the machines that need to be serviced, closer to the customers that need to be helped. And they have developed a local brand. They have developed a local reputation. They have developed a local secret sauce, right? If you want to call it that. There is no point. Absolutely doesn't make any sense to take any of that away. Number one, right? Number two, if you think about it from the perspective of empathy, right, which is a core value that we live by, you put yourself into the shoes of someone that has spent their entire life building through their blood, sweat, and tears something, and they're handing over to you because, in some sense, they're helpless, right? They need a succession plan. They don't know what to do with their business. It is your moral responsibility to make sure that you respect that as a starting point. And then our team, the way we all operate is to build upon that foundation, like Shana was saying, and really take it to the next level and not just provide lip service, but truly invest in their people, truly invest in elevating their customer experience, truly invest in building their legacy and reputation beyond, right, what they handed over to us. All of those things are pertinent to the point of impact where value gets created. And hence, it's super important that we pay attention to that, we take it to our heart, and what we call someone, for example, right? We partnered with Tony, phenomenal gentleman, his wife Christy, great team, great company, Triple T, and uh, we call him our market partner. We call him the business owner of Triple T, which he is, right? Because beyond the symbolism is this true feeling, the intention that we're going to work, together as partners to take his legacy to the next level. And that is the only way to do this. People that try to do any differently, I think, are not going to be successful longer term.
I think you hit it right on the head. Building the dream together is you're going to go farther with everybody and then by yourself, and then it's always going to be that way. And I think that's such a important point to what you're building and what you're building at Power Champions. You talk about there's a lot of talk about innovation, and innovation in today's world, especially with AI and technology. But in backup power, it all comes down to reliability. Reliability is everything. So how do you not only balance the innovation, but use innovation to increase reliability for your customers?
I would love to have Shannon and Eric's thoughts on this, but just to lead the response, right? First thing is you cannot be reliable if people don't know what to expect from you, and you cannot follow through on those expectations, right? So what do the customers expect in the backup power industry? They want someone to be there when they need them the most. The response time is super important. You need to be reliable. If they have chosen you as a service provider, you need to have the human capital, you need to have the technology capital, and you need to have the know-how, the business know-how, to be able to go there and take care of their needs when they actually truly need it, right? And being able to innovate on the technology side, being able to innovate on the training side is useless if that does not lead to this outcome, right? So we focus maniacally on trying to solve for that. And then we say, okay, what else can we do? Whether it is technology, training, the culture we build, the way we motivate and incentivize our people. Like one example is Eric called me one day and he said, Ashish, what are we going to do about health benefits? I said, what do you think we should do? And he said, I think we should give 100% healthcare coverage to everybody and their families. I said, Eric, why is that important? He said, it's important because for someone that's working in the front lines or technicians, that matters a lot. Eric, you tell me if I'm wrong, but we made that decision in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. We decided we're going to give 100% healthcare coverage to all our technicians, every single team member. We don't even call people employees, right? We are working on putting together a team member ownership program where they can participate in the upside that we're going to create through this enterprise, right? The reason why we innovate like this on human capital is because the hearts and minds of our technicians determine what kind of culture, what experience they're carrying to the doorsteps of our customers. That is how a customer is going to find us reliable. So innovation without purpose does not give you reliability, but innovation with purpose can make you a lot more reliable in the eyes of the customers.
Wow. Yeah, no, that was a great answer. I really love that. Treat your people right and they'll treat your customers right. Eric, what do you have to say on the topic?
Well, yeah, just to expand on that, it's you take care of your employees, and they will in turn take care of your customers. I mean, it's you know, they take pride in their ownership in the company. So with that, they're going to go and treat their customers as if they're their very own. And, it just spreads on out from there. And, as Ashish says, we kind of keep some of the healthy fat around. We make sure we have enough people around to help take care of our customers. So if something does happen, we're not spread so thin.
Yeah, no, that's a great point as well. And Shanna, what about on the customer side when it comes into customer trust, and how does innovation either strengthen it or could it erode it as well?
Innovation can easily erode it if customers feel like they're not being, if they're being, like told what to do and talked to and not listened to. And I think that's where technology fails us a lot. Um, there is nothing worse than being in an emergency situation of any kind and getting stuck in a phone tree from hell. And that's what I'll call them, or going from place to place. We've all been there. I've heard people yell. I literally just want a human, right? So it's not forgetting that there's always people on the end of that phone, right? And we're in this business there to serve a need, right? So you can lose trust quickly by being able to fail on the most basic thing, and that's just being able to return a simple phone call. You can win every time. So I think the biggest thing that a lot of companies forget is that every time you communicate with a customer, no matter what you're doing, you're creating a promise, and you better keep that promise no matter what it was. So if your agreement says that you will respond to a service call within 2 hours, you better not mess that up. And if you're going to mess it up, you better be able to tell the customer in advance why you had to mess it up. Don't make them come to you and say, why weren't you here when you said you were going to be here? So it's always about being proactive, being honest, and trying to remember that you're there to serve the customer. They're not here to serve you.
That's a great point.
Shana has done so much work in AI. I mean, she's at the forefront of how to bring tech into the trades. A couple of things I wanted to raise, Kyle, is one is to Shana's point about promises, right? We literally have, as you guys know, promises dashboard in the company where we say, what did we promise what are the mutual promises between us and our team members? What are the mutual promises between us and our market partners, right? Companies that we partner with, to provide them a succession plan or so on. The second thing is you talked about sort of growth through acquisitions, right? Previously, one of the things we did early on at PowerChampions, as you guys know very well, is we held ourselves accountable to be able to build a backup power company from scratch, right? The first location we started was in Greenville, South Carolina, which, we are serving customers now, and more customers are welcome to experience our service. But this location has built a muscle in our team to go from soup to nuts, exactly what is needed in order to build a backup power company. That allows us the know-how, the confidence in order to better take the companies that we would be partnering with to the next level, right? You're not just giving false promises. We actually have real capabilities that we are bringing to table on day one. We are a lot more prepared as a market partner to them versus, someone that just has capital and wants to, buy EBITDA, like they call it.
That's a great point. And I think so it shows it from both sides, whether it's with customers or market partners. It's all about setting clear expectations, making sure that we follow through on those promises to those, to our partners and customers as well. So setting clear expectations and following through on those promises, it seems so simple, but at the same time, it's so hard for so many customers and companies to do. That's great. So question for all of you. If you look out to the next 5 or 10 years, what defines winners in our industry?
You want to go first, Shanna?
Sure. I mean, I just gonna say people that keep their promises will win. I mean, if you can keep your promises to your customers, to your employees, to your market partners, and to any potential investors, if you can do those things, lay them out, say them clearly, and then keep them, I think that's going to define the winners.
That was our secret sauce, Shana. Don't give it all away. It's really that simple, isn't it?
Okay, for us to be able to, have basically be the gold standard in the Southeast and eventually the nation and one day the world. So, I mean, when they think of Power Champions, they're going to think that's what we need to, that's what we need to aim.
Well said, both of you, Eric and Shanna. I would say the driver to get to what Eric and Shanna are talking about is going to be to have the best talent on our side and treat them the best, right? We cannot win this journey. I call it a journey because we are looking for world domination, right? Those are big words, but I think we'll start with the basics, but eventually want to get there, right? This is a long-term play from our perspective, and without great talent, great people, investing in them, investing in training, treating them the right way, we cannot get there. No matter how much technology you can bring into the trades, no matter how many companies you can partner with or buy or acquire, like they call it, we are not going to be able to get there without having great people on our side. And that's we are laser focused on that. Is let's create the best talent, and eventually it will create, in my view, right? I always dream about it. We'll create a marketplace of technicians that provide world-class 21st century experience to our customers.
I think you guys all said something very similar there about the winners in the industry, and it was all coming back to employees first, which most large companies you wouldn't hear speak that way. They're talking about investments or marketing and how they're going to help their customers, and it's refreshing when you hear companies and really when you feel it in the day-to-day that are making their promises to their employees first, and that's how they lead. So I think it's a huge difference here with Power Champions. Okay, I'll ask each of you, what does it mean to say I am a Power Champion?
I can go first. To me, it means living our core values, which are written on every single wall of our office here, right? Servant leadership, empathy, integrity, and sincerity. Everything we do, whether it is internal or external, we live those core values. And if our stakeholders we're interacting with feel those core values, we are Power Champions.
Love that.
I 100% agree with Ashish. Sorry, I just jumped in because I do that. So I 100% agree with Ashish. I am a Power Champion because of the values that we portray each and every day.
Do I got a cape?
Champion.
We wear Power Champions on our hearts. I don't think you can see it, but I actually had a question for Kyle, right? So I have seen many sales executives, professionals in my life. But Kyle, you embody something that I've never seen before, right? In most cases. First is the integrity with which you operate. And second is your values driven approach, right? Meaning you're always trying to see how we can provide value to our customers. That's always your lead in thought process. That's how you interact with our customers. How did you learn all this stuff, Kyle? Because it's not easy to acquire this. You can go to any business school; they don't teach you there, right? But I can see that in your behavior and your actions. That's how you're building our workforce, our sales force, and I'm so proud of that. But I think our audience should know how you acquired those skills and those attributes.
Well, thanks to you for the kind words. I think for myself, I always say this and people don't believe it, but I hate salesmen. I really do. And we don't see ourselves as salesmen here. We're solution providers, and maybe our solution isn't the solution at that time for the customer. But that's how I always try to lead. We're going to be here for the long term. I'm going to be here for the next 10 years, 20 years. I've planned to be here for the next 40. So whether you use us today or tomorrow, that's not really the end goal for me. The end goal is for when you think about generators, when you think about these issues, you think about me and you think about us, and we're the preferred person that you're going to call, even if it's just a question. So I think in sales, too many people lead with trying to think about the end goal of selling, and when really selling is 20% or 80% listening and actually like 10% actually selling. So if you truly listen and understand your customers' needs, then you know what they actually need and the solutions that you can provide. Because in our industry, it's never just, copy and paste the same thing over and over again. Everything's a customized solution for our partners.
Well said. We are never trying to be the commodity, right? And even though some people perceive this industry as a commodity, it's not a commodity. It's something special, right? Especially the services industry, where we are taking the great machines that our OEM partners have built and really pump life into them. That's how I look at our technicians. They are pumping life into iron and metal that has been produced with massive R&D expenditure so that our customers can see the value for it. And that's why I love our people.
Yep, absolutely. I think, the one thing is clear about our industry and that it's changing and it's evolving. And it's not just about the technology side, but it's about how we lead, how we operate, and how we build, how we build the teams that can help deliver when it matters most. So I'm super happy and excited that I found a home here at Power Champions, because we're not just participating in that change, but we're driving that.
We are driving it. I would say, as closing statement or tagline, this industry needs a revolution, not an evolution. And we are on the frontier of creating that revolution. So
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for the Power to Win podcast. And we look forward to seeing everybody next time.